everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. Got a really cool interview for you today. I got to sit down with Keith Gleason, obviously a fan of the show. He's been on before. We've been on his show. I've been on his show. The other So Wizard guys have known Keith a long time. That's how I met him. Keith Gleason is an awesome dude, one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. And he's huge in the comics, indie creator, and kind of we're all like geek convention world. He runs his own convention, Plastic City Comic Con. We talk about that. We talk about other conventions. He has the Indie Comics Relay YouTube channel where he talks indie comics, creating indie comics, how-tos, conventions, convention ratings, comic reviews, even serial reviews because it fits in line with his comic, Mighty Mascots, which is kind of the whole point of the conversation, even though it doesn't come to the end, but so many things to cover with Keith. Mighty Mascots is in its third crowdfunding campaign. It's for issues 7, 8, and 9. This is a super fun comic. It's Saturday morning cartoon mascots come to life, going on adventures, kind of like a superhero team. Really inventive, really original. There's nothing like it, and it's all created out of his imagination. There are, similarities to mascots that you recognize, so it's familiar, but also brand new and fresh, and he walks the line perfectly. Link to the IndieGoGo is in the comments, or the show notes. Highly recommend you back this one. I've backed it myself. Really good comic. Keith's really good dude, so enjoy the interview. Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I'm sitting down with Keith Gleason, sorry, as I stutter over your name, from Mighty Mascots and Indie Comics Relay. Yep. Keith, how you doing? It's been a while.
Good, yeah, it's been crazy. It's nuts, Adam. It's been nuts since the last time I talked to you. I guess that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, for sure, especially when you're promoting something.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Last time we talked was actually in person, which is rare, at Plastic City Comic Con.
Yeah, that's another thing I do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's like crazy. And I'm just like glutton for punishment. I'm even thinking of doing a second, like smaller show, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens. It's like it's a lot to do, like comic books, and then do that, and then run a YouTube channel. The whole kit and caboodle, and then have a day job on top of that, so
promoting a lot of work is hard enough, let alone creating it, and then you do YouTube, and then you're like, I can't even wrap my head around how you start running a convention.
Yeah, it's well, it started small, and then it blew up into what it is now, which is good. Like as long as I could kind of stay at that medium level, like I kind of want to cap off the growth right now, but we'll see. I don't know if I talked to you since the last show in July, but we're actually looking to move to a different location next year. So I'm still kind of trying to find that location right now.
Okay.
So hopefully, the problem, I mean, you've come for the last couple of years, but the problem with that building is there's a lot of handicap accessibility issues, and we had a problem with the Wi-Fi this year. The temperature's always been a problem there. So it's finally, we've done the show there 4 years, and I think we've kind of not grown out of the place, but I just, I'm getting tired of getting yelled at by people. So, I try to find something better,
you build a building for a convention, you're going to get yelled at by people.
Yeah. Well, it's it's not your fault about the building, but you get blamed because you are throwing an event there, so.
Yeah. I mean, some of the concerns are valid, like the handicap accessibility, because it's a 2-floor con for people who haven't been there, and it's in a arena, so you have those steep cement steps, and it's not
right. And there's no elevator, there's no ramp, nothing, and it's and besides handicap though, we also have parents with strollers, things like that's an issue, and it is a family show, so that's I don't want to say it's probably about, I'd say at least 1/5 of our audience probably has some kind of, either a handicap wheelchair situation or that with the strollers. So
strollers, yeah.
And, a lot of people are like, just keep going. Who cares about the complaints? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of seems crappy to have them to send them to the back of the building to get in, So
yeah, I mean, if you can find a place that doesn't drastically change how you have to do things, the spirit and the people are going to go with you.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think if we could find, a hotel that's reasonable, or even I'd be open to another hockey rink, but as long as it's all on one floor, things like that,
Or an elevator.
Yeah, or an elevator, some kind of handicap
Yeah.
accessibility.
I thought the hockey rink was actually kind of a cool idea. It's a great way to use it when it's not.
Yeah, definitely. And it's reasonably priced to rent, so like it made sense, So
Yeah.
So we're looking at a bunch of different things. I have I have feelers out and everything in the local area. I'm going to see what I can put together for next year. I hope I can get something going, because I don't want to like take a year off either,
Right. Yeah. It seems like that would kind of hurt your momentum. I know you don't want it to like explode, but you also don't want it to dwindle.
Right. And then having 2 years off for COVID too didn't help. So it's like, trying to build up again. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Hopefully. And it's like, 'cause I know it's a show people love, especially comic creators. Like, I think there's so little shows for the indie creator out there. Like, there's a ton of shows, but what I mean by that, there's so little shows where an indie creator actually can shine and actually make a little bit of money, and I think my show kind of helps that along, by not having a lot of the bells and whistles that a lot of other shows tend to have, and steal the spotlight away from an indie comic creator, so
yeah, I got 100% agree, because that was, as an indie comic creator, my first con selling ever, and it could not have been a better experience.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that too. I know you I talked to you was it Terrificon? No, it was after the show, right? I forget where I
think it was like on the way out. Yeah, because you were.
Yeah, it was on the way out, and you were telling me how well it went, and I was like, oh, that's great to hear, So that's the kind of stuff I love to hear, is that a indie creator does really well, So
yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
So we'll be back in some capacity. Like I said, if I can't lock in a big like a good size event area to do the show, I'll probably go back to my roots and maybe try to do like a small VFW show or something, and try to do the have less tables, so I'll have to probably do like a lottery or something to try and figure out who comes in. But whatever, we'll try it, see.
Yeah, you got to make it work,
keep something going,
right.
So, but yeah, no, it's been nuts between writing comics, creating comics, and running YouTube. I try to put like three new things up a week, with YouTube, because it's like, how it is. You do a channel, so it's like you got to try to constantly try to hit those algorithms, and,
right. Yeah.
all that fun stuff, So
yeah, that's actually cool. To talk about your podcast, YouTube. I don't even know what you call these things now. It's like beyond a podcast. But...
yeah, right. It's like some kind of show.
Right.
Like
yeah.
Everyone has some kind of show now. It's either on Twitch.
Just interviews, right?
What's that?
You started with just interviews, right?
Just interviews, yeah. And then
I like you had like a whole series on, and I watched them all leading up to Plastic City on like, here's what you should do at a con. Here's what make
sure
you
did. You watched that whole playlist. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Did that help you at all? Like,
big time. Yeah, I was sitting there taking notes and.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
okay, that's great to hear. Yeah, I try to do stuff like that. Like, I've had knowledge, like stuff that comes natural to me that like a new creator probably wouldn't know. But I've been doing cons since like 2005, and it's like it's all the knowledge, all the right things and wrong things I've learned over the years. So,
right? Yeah.
So definitely. Yeah, exactly. And then I also did one on there. I don't know how much mileage it's going to have, but I put a playlist on there to anyone that wants to start a convention. Like, I kind of tried to chronicle what that's like, and what to start to think about. So, I try to put some interesting playlists. Right now I'm starting a series on just comic writing, and we'll see how far that goes. And I'm always adding new things. Like I do serial reviews now, and I do I take a look at Diamond every month at the beginning of the month, and go through and see what indie books that I would give recommendations to, or to check out, or stuff that I think looks cool, If
and you look at Diamonds because it's more readily available for people.
Yeah, I go through the Diamond catalog just because it's easy for people to take the Diamond code and go to their comic store and order something if they see something that they like
Yeah, that
on the
makes sense.
channel, you know. But I don't highlight everything. I just kind of go through and say, oh, I think this looks cool. I'll probably buy. I try to highlight the stuff that I think I'm gonna buy, you know, in the next month or so. So that kind of helps, you know. People get like a little idea of what else is out there, and I try to not do anything Marvel or DC, you know, just try to keep it indie.
Yeah,
You
people know
so.
they're around.
Yeah, exactly. Like I try to make the channel like an indie comic resource in a lot of ways, you know, between the creator interviews and then also like the how tos and the reviews and things like that, you know. So I try to make it kind of like a one stop shop, you know.
Yeah, and I like that because it's tough because you want to chase the trends, like, oh, this is what people are watching in these kind of YouTube channels right now. But you also want to stand out because if it's the same thing everyone else is doing, what's the point?
That's
So I thought the
yeah.
serial reviews are really clever because it goes along with your Saturday morning cartoon feel.
Right, in my comic and stuff. And
Yeah.
like but you're right, there's that temptation to be like, oh, this new Star Wars sucks. Let me tell you why. You know?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
whatever, you know,
Something
like the
in practice.
outrage thing. You know, it's huge. People like really make make a ton of money on YouTube just being outraged at everything. You know, so I don't know. I kind of don't want to be like that. I kind of
Yeah.
want to be more of a helpful, friendly channel, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like when we do like movie reviews or I've done some comic reviews, if there's something like especially for a comic, you know, as an indie creator myself, I know how hard it is. No one's going out there like I'm going to make a crappy comic and put it out in the world. No one's doing that.
Right.
So if I read something that's just 100% not for me, nothing redeeming to say, I just move on. No video, whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or if there's something that's what's that? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying if there's something that maybe it isn't for me, but oh, like this art's cool, or oh, I know my sister would love this, then I'll do a review and be honest about it. But
yeah, I'm the same way. Like I tend to avoid the stuff I know I won't like, so I don't buy it anyways.
Yeah, what's
most of
the
the
point?
time. Right, exactly. So, but if something's like 80% there, like I don't mind, doing a review and saying, "Hey, I love this, but this is what I thought was problematic about it," or whatever like that, And I definitely try to review that. We've been doing con reviews too, like anything that me and Johnny go to.
Yeah,
We'll try to review the con, and we try to review it from the vendor's point of view, like if it's worth going as a creator to the show, and then also we try to look at it as the convention goer, like what would they like this show, and we try to grade it on that, and we say a lot of positives, and sometimes there is negatives though, like I wasn't too like Terrificon this year Terrificon was good, but I had some issues with it this year, and I was vocal about it, so.
Yeah, we did that one as press, and it was a little bit it was good that it was busy for the vendors, but as far as press went, there was kind of not a whole lot to cover.
Yeah, it seemed like there was, it's just, I always, that show is totally about placement too. Wherever you're put really affects your business. Like there's some years that I do really well there, and in other years it's like I barely scrape, breaking even, so it's tough. That show's a roller coaster for me, and it's like tough to give up a 3-day weekend now as I get older and like more stuff going on, and it's just tougher for me to be like, I want to spend a weekend at a convention, and it's like I rather do more 1-day shows. Like those are fine. I'm finding are my bread and butter now, like just go in for 6-7 hours and you're done. You're home that night and you're done. You get the next day, So.
Yeah, wading into that world, I'm like, I know we're going to have to go for bigger shows. I'm hoping we have to go for bigger shows at a point. But at the same time, it's like, man, between work and family and side jobs, there's everything going on everyone has. Is like, it's tough to carve out 72 hours. And when you figure travel, food, and hotel, it's like, you got to sell 1 million books, but you're not there to tell your name out. It's like...
Yeah, and unless you're living at home, like I always say this about an indie comic creator, if you're living at home, knock yourself out, do every show, lose money, like, find the shows that make sense to you, but lose that money while you have a safety net in place.
Yeah, while you can. Yeah.
But once you got responsibility, like I know I think you're a homeowner, and once you got a house, you know, a car bill, all that stuff, family. It's, you know, it's a lot tougher to lose that money, you know, so you got to be a little more careful.
Yeah, there's
on
not,
where you
and then
go.
it's also kind of like not to rag on cons, but it's like, should I go and spend say $1,000 for a weekend between everything, or would that $1,000 be better spent at like a marketing company and some online ads?
Yeah, you're right. No, I never thought about it that way, but yeah, true. It's like you got to really rationalize that money. Like, is it going to be worth it? Like, you know, everybody wants to do San Diego, and I'd say, you know, we did the smaller their special edition they did during COVID like a year ago, and that was fun. But I would want to do that show again when it's actually the real San Diego, you know. And yeah, I know I would never make the money back because you think in terms of how much that is. Plus, California is ridiculous in the way how much stuff costs there. It's like insane. Like we went to buy like a 24-pack of water and it was like 10 something. I was like, oh my
Yeah, they're always
Lord.
in water crisis. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I was like, oh my God. It's like everything's more expensive there, you know, including the hotels. Whenever there's a convention, it's like, you know, it's like more than New York prices, I think, you know, so.
Yeah, a couple of the people that I was sitting next to at Plastic City were, you know, asking me about cons and this and that. I was telling them it was my first one. And they were like, well, don't go to like the New Yorks and San Diegos. They're like, you're going to spend thousands of dollars thinking you're going to get all this foot traffic, but they're there for specific things. No one's looking for the indie guy who's on his like second con. So
you'll do okay, but you will lose money. You'll do okay though. Like you will, you do okay because the sheer number of
just
people.
volume. Yeah, you're
the
bound.
volume. But I don't know if it's quite back yet with COVID, and like in New York, like everybody's wearing masks still, so it's like I know that's gonna hurt the show a little bit, and like so I kind of pulled out this year. Like we did last year, and it was kind of bad. Like we lost some money, and this year I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just wait a couple of years before I try to get back to this show. I like New York, but it is a lot to do New York. Like you can't just roll in there on Thursday with all your stuff. You got to actually take Wednesday off and go down there. And
yes, it becomes a 4 or 5 day.
Oh my God. We tried to do that once. We tried to set up on a Thursday. Like we drove down really early on a Thursday morning. Like we'll just get set up so we don't have to, you know, get a hotel Wednesday night. And it was the worst thing we ever did. There was so many people already waiting to get in. It was just a nightmare.
And even with two of you, you probably have to have somebody watching the car while you're ferrying stuff in because you got a half-mile walk to your booth.
Yeah, it's crazy. And every year it's like a problem on how to get in there and how to get out of there. It's just it's a headache big time. Yeah. So I don't recommend doing it until you feel comfortable, like you're at that level, you know, but
yeah. What also seems like a thing where do you spend the 3,000-4,000 on doing New York, or do you do 4 other shows?
Right. And like you said, do some of that online marketing, which that's not a bad idea. Like if you can build your subscriber base, or, you know, spend money to like have your listings higher or something. I don't know how
that's a little bit what we've been looking into on our end a little bit more. With our second chapter coming to a close, we want to do another crowdfund. And the first one, we had no idea what we were doing. We started marketing it as it started instead of weeks before. And
you actually gotta set. I think you gotta spend a couple months leading up to it.
Right. Yeah. So our books were a little delayed this year, just with, you know, the term everyone's heard a million times, supply chain issues. You know, Britain's going to get paper, this and that. My partner in the comic had some family crisis that was unavoidable, and then, you know, I was in the middle of a move, so just things kept getting in the way, but now we're back on track. So we're looking at marketing companies now while we put out these last few books to start generating the word of mouth so we can go into.
Let me know. I'd love to hear you know, after you go through all that, like I'd love to hear your thoughts on what worked and what didn't. Maybe we could have you back to the show and talk about that stuff. Yeah, I'd love to hear like where, you know, like what they did for you and what, you know, what actually works and what it doesn't, you know, because I've tried, you know, Facebook ads for when I'm running a crowdfunder, and I don't seem to get anything from those. And, but I'm open to trying other things, like, you know,
Yeah, that's
whatever.
what I'm curious what a marketing company would do, because if they're just like, oh, pay us to run Facebook ads, it's like, well, I'll just run them myself.
Yeah, right. That makes zero sense to have pay another company to do it, you know?
Because mostly you're going to get, likes and followers, which followers and stuff on the social media accounts, obviously it's great, but
Right.
it has to translate at some point.
Right. You got to try to turn those followers into buyers, and that's always the tough thing to turn, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, geez, I don't know what the magic bullet for all that is, but it's got to be something.
I think there is no one magic bullet.
I don't think so either.
You talk to some people and they clean up at cons, and then I talked to this other guy who's like, yeah, I never made a comic before. I hired this marketing company. My first crowdfunding was $14,000. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, like, even like this past one that I'm doing right now, like, I tried to set up a couple months ahead. I had a pre-launch page. I got about 150 signups, right away, which was good. So I had that ready to go when I launched. But I don't know. I think, just the economy is so bad right now, and people are, like gas is so high and everything's so high, honestly. But like I don't see in like the growth, like, that I did on my last one. So like I'm barely like I made my goal, which is great, but it's like before that I was the last one I did I was really successful. So this one is kind of like I don't know what's going on with the industry. I don't know if people are just seeing a lot less lot less people spending money on comics, that kind of thing,
And it's also like the pool gets bigger and bigger, so it's
that's
tough.
the thing. Like I think as the industry starts to fail, like we're here, you seeing like Marvel and DC are slowly failing in the market. No one's buying their books, and you're seeing more of these creators step into crowdfunding. And I think that's the more diluted that gets, the less piece of a pie everybody else gets. So.
Especially when like the huge names go to indie, like Frank Miller's making his own indie labels. Like,
yeah, right. I got to right. And he's with Dan DiDio, so that company's probably gonna be big. Like I got their ash can last week, and I looked at it. It was like, and it looks like I don't know if all their books are gonna be printed this way, but that ash can was printed on like a high quality newsprint, which is what Alterna does. So like I wonder if they're gonna do that with their books or not, and just try to undercut people. I don't know. We'll see.
That might be the move, because
it'll stand out. Yeah.
Yeah. We were printing on really high gloss, high quality. We love the print quality we were getting, but even selling at $5 a book, there's like really no profit.
No, I mean, because you're like
high quality news.
And then if you bring Diamond into that, forget it. You're not making anything.
Yeah, it's a big ask for like, hey, you don't know who we are. 20 pages, $5. Like it's a big
right.
ask.
Yeah,
they're not spending that on the X-Men.
right, exactly. And it's like, do you go at $3.99 and lose money, or it's hard? It's a hard decision to make.
Yeah, it sure is.
And sometimes maybe the solution is to go to black and white and try to make money that way, but then people have their bias against that too. So it's, they want color, I don't know.
I'm sure ours works in black and white because it's such a 90s inspired, like it has to be that bright in your face thing.
Right. Yeah.
We're thinking about doing like the newsprint and then doing like a really small run of the high gloss and calling it like our premium format or something.
Yeah. Or just save that for like the paperbacks or something, maybe.
Yeah, maybe just do the trade in that ultra high.
Right. That's what I'm thinking of doing. I might do an omnibus or something once I have enough issues or something like that, and just do a high quality. And I think that'll be really cool looking.
You can go like hardcover at that point.
Yeah, definitely something like that. I think easily. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Right. There's so many options.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's never ending. Every day is something new.
So talking about crowdfunding and stuff, which for Mighty Mascots, is this your third or fourth?
Let me see. I've done
more.
For Mighty Mascots. It's my third crowdfunding, but I think I've done 4 crowdfunders altogether.
Okay.
So I've done 2 on Kickstarter and 2 on IndieGoGo now. So I kind of have a good opinion of both formats, I guess, or more which crowdfunder I like. I prefer IndieGoGo over Kickstarter, but I don't know. I don't know. The crowdfunding thing is so hard. Like, you
Hmm.
know, like you were talking about earlier, like while you were marketing as it was going. It's hard to figure out what works, what doesn't. Um, I'm actually thinking like it might be easier for me to throw a second convention and fund my comics that way rather than do a crowdfunder. It's less work,
Yeah,
believe it or
seriously.
not. You know, isn't that crazy? But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it is a lot of work putting all the perks together, putting everything,
Yeah, is it
making a
too much? Is it not
video.
enough? Is it
What's
asking too
that?
much? Like, is it too
Yeah,
many
right.
perks? Is it not enough? Is the price point too high? Is it too low?
Yeah, right. There's a lot of questions with that, and it's hard to say because, like, you know, the one trend I'm seeing a lot on Indiegogo, and I don't know if this is on Kickstarter a lot, is a lot of people are charging like 25 seems to be like the average price of a, you know, the basic tier for a comic now.
Really?
And I'm like, that is craziness to me. Unless the comic is like graphic novel size, and even then I'm a little bit like, is that really worth 25? You know?
Yeah. I mean,
It's
unless it's like
weird.
the Frank Miller thing we were just talking about. If Frank Miller has like, here's 180 pages, it's a
Yeah, right.
Sin City, it's like, well, 25 bucks I'm in.
Yeah, right, exactly. You know, you're gonna buy that because he's got a name, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't know if people are paying Keith Gleason like 25 bucks, you know, for, or, you know, it's just,
Not for the, not a knock on you. I just mean as like an indie creator, like 25 bucks for the basic tier seems really high.
for the basic, right? Yeah. And I'm seeing that a lot. Like there's a lot of books out there that I would mind backing, you know?
And you stuff your tiers.
Yeah, I fill mine up with tons of stuff. So like I feel like I'm giving the backer plenty of stuff, you know. So
Yeah, because I think it was probably your basic tier on your last campaign, and it was like, oh, and this came with it, and this came with it, and it
yeah,
just like
right.
stuff just kept coming out of the box, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. Well, we kept unlocking stuff. That's the great thing with the stretch goals and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
This time, not so much. Like I've unlocked 2 stretch goals so far, but that seems to be about it. And I'm hoping, like right now, I'm a little over 7,000. I'm hoping by the time I close the campaign, I'll be at 10. That's my hope, you know. Because the great thing about Indiegogo, and this is another reason I like it over Kickstarter, is once I go through the 60 days of the campaign being active, it stays open with the in demand option, which is
oh, that's
nice.
cool.
Yeah, and you can continue to take money in, which is amazing, you know.
So you
So
become more like a storefront then.
it becomes more like a storefront, but it still acts like a, you know, the crowdfunder. It stays live on Indiegogo's website. So like, you know, as I'm making the books, I can still be taking in pledges, and you know, so it's really nice in that aspect. I
Yeah,
think Kickstarter's trying to do something like that, but I don't know if it's in place yet or not. The other thing I like about Indiegogo too is I started the campaign off as just 30 days, and as I was getting into the last week of the 30 days, um, I had hit my goal, but I was like, you can go in and re-edit it and do another 30 days. You can do a full 60 days, but anytime once the, you know, anytime during the campaign, you know, so I was like,
yeah,
that's
that's
cool.
good
I'll
too.
do that, you know, so you
I,
get another 30-day bump, you know, so
I do like that they were a little bit more flexible on things.
I like that too. Like Kickstarter is all, you know, it's like do or die, you know, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. The flex goal even was really good because it's like, well, if we get X amount, our break even is this. Like, we're gonna hit the break even, so we might as well do it there so that the people who really want it do, and anything great better is great.
right. And when the other thing I don't like about Kickstarter is that I like about Indiegogo is when people back it, they have to buy it right then and there. Where Kickstarter, they wait till the end to charge a
Oh,
card,
that's right. Yeah,
and
you
I've
lose
lost a
20%.
bunch of pledges that way because when they go to charge the person, they ghost the campaign, you know. So you lose some of the pledges, and it's like I hate that, you know. It's like, you know, it's, and usually it's nothing crazy, and it's like 40-50 bucks, but I'd rather have the 40-50 bucks than lose it, you know what I
it also
mean?
doesn't
So
make any sense because it's like the whole point of crowdfunding is give me money up front to do the thing, but then
Yes.
they don't have to give the money up front.
Yeah,
It's
right. Right. So so those are a couple reasons why I like IndieGoGo better. So, but I wouldn't put off. I would say never say never to using Kickstarter again. But
oh yeah, it's not like some evil company that's going to rob indie creators. It's,
right, and they're comparable fees wise, so like that's not a big thing. But the thing of the Kickstarter, I think you got to build your brand there. You know, once your brand is there, then that people just carry over to you. And if you get those, if you unlock the projects we love thing, that just helps you even more. You know.
yeah, I feel like Kickstarter does have more weight to throw around in the crowdfunding arena.
They do. And I think if you're a major backer of stuff, I think they do kind of help you out when you do a campaign. Like Johnny, his first campaign for Surrounded by Death, he got a Projects We Love right away, and I think it's because he's a super backer on Kickstarter. Like he backs a ton of stuff. So
Okay, so he's a big part of the community. He's not.
I think
just
he
showing up
is, yeah,
one
and I think
time.
that's
Yeah.
why they helped him out, and I think that's why his campaign did really well. You know.
Well, that's
so.
cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the magic formula is, you know.
You just got to find what works for you for
Yeah,
your
I kind of try to
campaign
do the
even.
best you can. The I think the only advice I would give is try to make the best book you can, and then try to make the best campaign you can,
Yeah.
and then
that's
talk
tough
about
to-
it. You know,
You
tweet
got to
about
focus
it.
on the book, focus on the work, but at the same time, you want people to see the work.
Yeah, go on every social media and push it. You know. And that's also kind of weird for some people. I know people have like a thing about doing that, like spamming their feeds and all that, but you kind of gotta nowadays, you know. There's so many people doing this stuff. It's the only way to stand out, really, you know.
Yeah, the social media aspect of it is really hard.
It really is. It really is. So we do what we can, I guess, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But since we keep kind of talking about it and going around it, do you want to just specifically say what your current Mighty Mascots campaign is?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, I'll tell you the premise for anybody that might not have heard of Mighty Mascots or read it. It's about a group of serial mascots who are brought to life by a 3D printing accident, and they become like a superhero team. And the whole idea of the book is I wanted to take like the fun of Saturday morning cartoons, but put it into comic form. It's like if you took a Justice League comic and mixed it with like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something like that. That's what you get, is a fun, entertaining, all ages story, but all ages in a good way, like Batman the Animated Series, like that kind of all ages. And the great thing about the campaign is you can get the new issues 7, 8, and 9, but there's tiers on there to get all the issues before that. So if you've never read it, you can get all 9 issues, and there's tons of goodies on there, tons of cool swag. I even added a digital tier this year. I've never done that really. So you get all 9 issues digitally, and people have seemed to take advantage of that, which is nice. Especially like overseas, people that like live overseas do a lot of the digital. So
That makes
that's
sense
kind of
with
cool.
shipping costs.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other cool thing we added on this campaign that we've never done before is me and my wife are doing. There's a sketch card commission perk, and there's also a sketch cover commission perk. So me or Amy will pencil, ink, and color a sketch card or a sketch cover, you know, for whatever you want, you know. So you can
That's
choose
cool.
that. And the sketch cover is like on a Mighty Mascots #1 sketch cover, which is cool, you know. So you get that as well. So that's kind of fun. And then there's like other things like getting drawn into the book, and Amy's even offered to make a puppet, you know, which is cool. So that's on there as a thing. We added lunch boxes, like there's a Mighty Mascots lunch box you can get. We have limited quantities of that. So we're trying to stay in that fun, like, you know, like merch and like Saturday morning feels, you know. Then we're going hardcore into that nostalgia feel, you know.
Yeah, I know in your last one you had your stuff packaged in a cereal box.
Cereal box.
That's the epitome for Mighty Mascots. Like
yeah,
that.
definitely. And you can still get those. I have those on. You can add them on, and I think they're in one of the perks if you wanted the cereal box. If you missed it on the last one, But yeah, it's really fun. And the 3 issues that are coming up are going to be really cool. Like, the issue 7 is like a one and done mystery. Like someone killed like an insurance mascot. And then we have to go through the whole, the whole usual suspects list of like different insurance mascots to find out who did it, that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Other kind of mascots.
Oh my god, there's so many insurance mascots too. When you start looking at it, it's like crazy. And then I did a 2-parter for 8 and 9, which is my version of the Jolly Green Giant and Sprout. So it's gonna be like kind of like a 2-issue kaiju kind of battle, through the city and stuff like that. So those 2 issues are great because I've been dying to get to these 2 since I conceived the series. Like I knew I wanted to do the Jolly Green Giant. And I'm finally getting to those 2-parters. So I can't wait to do that. But yeah, it's really fun. I'm looking forward to these new issues. I think they're going to be great. And the artwork's already rolling in, so we're already getting going on it now. We're not waiting till the campaign's over, so.
Yeah, people like hearing that too. They get their book quicker.
Big time. Yeah, I put some finished pages on the campaign so people know that we're serious about this stuff. But also, if anyone's, considering backing, I've fulfilled all 3 previous campaigns fully. And I tried to do them mostly on time. I think the last one I was a couple months late, but it was only a couple months, which was nice. And then this one I'm trying to definitely get done early, and hopefully I can deliver earlier than the deadline, which I want to do, so I really take it serious. Like when I take people's money, I definitely want to make sure I deliver, I feel that responsibility to get something to everybody,
Yeah. I don't remember the last one feeling like it was late. I actually remember feeling like it came quick.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. I tried to put a realistic date in there, and then it kind of kept getting pushed back because of COVID and everything, the supply chains. But we finally got it out, and then I just fulfilled it slowly. I had 400 backers I had to fulfill. So I just kind of did 10 or 15 a week, and it took me 3 months, but I got everything out,
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Well, again, good problem to have.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. When you look at the massive list of people you have to send stuff to, you're like, it's overwhelming, but then it's like, if you just break everything down into small chunks, it makes it easier, So.
Yeah, just get them out the door consistently.
Exactly. Just stay consistent and do it, and you're done. You'll get done eventually. So yeah, I'd say if you're looking for a fun comic, if you like superheroes, you like Saturday morning cartoons, check it out. Check out the campaign. I think you might find something you'll like there.
Yeah, I'll put a link to the campaign in the show notes for sure. And do you have a Mighty Mascots website? I actually don't remember. Do you just point to your social medias?
Out of all the social media, I'd say YouTube and Twitter probably where I'm most active. I do have a Facebook. I do have Instagram. I do have LinkedIn. I have all that stuff. I do have a website, but Twitter and YouTube is probably where you'll find me the most. But my website is recklesssidekick.com or heroenvy.com. They both go to the same place. Eventually I'm going to just try to get the Mighty Mascots URL and direct people there, my whole website needs needs to be redone and everything though. No one really goes to websites anymore. I mean, everything's on social media now. So it's been less important to me, so eventually we'll get there,
Yeah. But, awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate you highlighting it, as usual.
Yeah, sorry, I was a little bit delayed. We're still mid-move. That's why I'm in this open cavernous room with the dogs.
You got a nice painting behind you, though.
Yeah, we got that
tranquil.
That was actually done by a friend of mine, so it's an original.
Oh, is it really? Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, we got a few.
Nice. You see behind me, I got my wall of stuff. My.
I love that. That's what my office is going to be. So
yeah, it's great. It kind of makes it look like your studio, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like this wall is me. Like if you took my personality and threw it against a wall, this is what you would see. So
very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you again. Good luck with the campaign. It's already going well, which is great, and I'll get this up as soon as possible so other people can support it.
Oh, awesome, man. Appreciate that as always. Yeah, I guess that's it. Or I don't have really any other thing to push or anything. And hopefully we'll have a date soon for Plastic City, you know? So
Yeah, awesome.
awesome.
All right, cool. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Huge thank you to Keith for taking time out of his obviously insanely busy schedule to come on and talk to me about comics, conventions, indie comic, creating comics. He's been huge in me helping getting my own comic going, social studies. He is amazing with Plastic City Comic Con, which really focuses on the creators, so cannot thank him enough. Such an awesome guy, and I'm sure he'll be back on. Please remember to like and subscribe. We got a lot more videos, new movies, coverage, recommendations, reviews, interviews, comic reviews, all the stuff you love. Coming more. Quality's going to get back up there. Sorry about the weird surroundings and the echoey bits right now. I'm still mid-move. We're living kind of in a construction zone, but things are coming along. So like, subscribe, bell, whatever. You're not going to want to miss out. Speaking of not want to miss out, make sure you listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week, wherever you get your podcasts. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, videos, and more. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. We love hearing feedback, checking in with the audience, so drop us a note in the comments or anything on social media. All accounts can be found after the show and in the show notes. On a more personal note, speaking of indie comics, a good friend and I have our own ongoing comedy comic series. It's called Social Studies. It's a slice of life comedy comic written like a sitcom, done in the style of the 90s cartoons that we grew up on, love, and inspired us. You can find all of our available issues at socialstudiescomic.com or on Comixology, including Comixology Unlimited. Thanks.